Good afternoon, everybody, and how are you all keeping on this virtual weekend? Quick weather update. It's sunny. There you go. That's the weather update. Shame about Anarchus not being able to make it. I hope he's okay. I'm pretty sure he is. But it seems there's been a hell of a lot of damage across there with the storm and everything. So I am standing in. So thanks to Jamie for asking me to do this. I'll bring my worms in so you know who's here and what you'll be able to recognise the voices anyway. We have Mark the permanent earworm.
Hello.
We have Dale from Maple Tree Studios.
Hello.
They're going to be keeping me up with what's going on in the chat. I've already seen some comments. It seems I'm not doing this show. Drilly is. Drilly is sitting in the background, if you can see him. Right, for today, I've only got an hour, so I'm going to keep this fairly simple, fairly basic. So what I've got on is a piece of spalted sycamore. It's only 16 inches diameter, and it's only 3 inches deep. So we should get this done fairly quick.
Only, he says.
Only. Man's a lunatic. Right, I'll start saying who's in the chat for you, Wayne.
Yep, thank you, Mark.
Right, we've got Wood Wizardry by Colin. Sid's Repurposing. Jennifer Stroughton. Mike the Midnight Joker. Lewis,
Hello, Mike.
Bondi Craftsman.
Hello, Lewis.
SK Crafts.
Hello, Steve.
Some weird bloke called Mark.
Watch him. Pull him out again.
Leroy 500. Leaping
Roy.
Lemur Craftworks.
King Julian.
The beautiful Lee at Marley Bow Crafts.
Hello,
Kim
Lee.
Thomas.
Hello,
Good
Kim.
afternoon, everybody.
Where did I get to? It skipped. Doug Miller.
Hello,
Dutch
Doug.
Turner.
Hello, Dutch.
Some strange bloke called Dale from Maple Tree Studios.
Watch him.
Ricky Woodshed. Andy Lee. Tommy
Hello,
Dunn.
Andy. Hello, Tommy.
Sid's Repurposing. Put in. Steve Robbins. Robert Lapsley.
Hello, Sid. Hello, Robert Lapsley.
Cammy's Garage. Hello, Cammy.
Hello, Cammy.
The ever wonderful Carl Jacobson.
Mr. Jacobson. How the devil are you?
The equally wonderful
afternoon.
JP. Hello, JP.
Hi, JP.
And the equally wonderful The Beard 16. Hello, Rich.
Hi, Rich.
Brian Anderson. Terry Bray. W. Bradburn. God, they're all in today. Ian Leonard. Circular Wood by Keith. Hodgepodge. Brian Jane. Vivi Woodshed. Jordan Woodworks. Chris Cox. John F. Jappy's in. Hello, Jappy. Steve Robbins. Barry's in. Hello, Baz.
Hello, buddy.
Jennifer Stroughton. Pete, Twisted Trees. And I think that's everybody. If I missed you,
Pretty close.
I do apologise.
Is anybody not
Barry.
in?
No, I think we're all here. LeBarry says, ooh, that's a big one. The Dutch Stunner responds in the classic comedic style of, that's what she said, Barry. Hodgepodge is saying, geez, that's going to take a lot of drilling.
Right then.
Robert's comment.
Mortis. So this is like I say, it's a 16-inch by 3-inch blank. I've got it spinning at around about 650. If I'd had time, I probably would have set this up to go on the VB. because I've maxed out this lathe.
That'll teach you for getting your big wood out.
Yeah.
Klondike says, what are you going to do for the last 40 minutes? Steve
Mark.
Pinkhorn has joined and Neil Gould has joined.
Mark, the gentleman woodturner, says Wayne has a mahoos of wood today. The Dutch turner is asking, is it hardwood, Wayne?
Yes, it's sycamore.
Pete from Twisted Trees.
Just put the dovetail in for the mortar.
Cool. Pete from Twisted Trees is saying, just so happens I'm in the process of making a Wayne jelly jig guide for my toe post. JP Woodwork saying that he's going to sand for 40 minutes. Everyone wants to see Drilly.
Right, so what I've done, I haven't bothered flattening the bottom off. I've started dishing it in about this point. So I've dished it in, I've put the mortise on, and now I'm just going to start shaping it.
Crackerjack's in. Hello, Crackerjack.
You have 63 watching, Wayne.
Grand.
Steve Coombs is in. Hello, Steve.
Hodgepodge Woodworks is saying, so what kind of spindle are we making today? Crackerjack says, Montana wood up. You'll have to find a big table to put that on. Maybe a wall. The Dutch turner says, who thinks it's a tractor wheel? Klondike Craftsman says, I think it's fitting that is Annika can't be here, but it's supposed to someone with similar hair. Wood Wizardry by Colin says, Crafty Wayne using a small gouge to make it last the hour. Aha!
I probably should have put this on the lower speeds. I am starting to slow the motor down with the depth of cuts I'm taking.
Hodgepodge Woodworks is saying, Wayne, I hope you washed that shirt from yesterday. Minutes in. What's the link, Mark?
That's for SK Crafts. Next one. The link is for the next maker after Wayne. Steve from SK. Thomas has just joined. Hello, Kim. Karen Dolman joined. And 14 Hours has just joined. James Darwood just popped in.
Right, I'm just going to do one final finishing cut on this using my 1/4 inch swept back grind bowl gouge. Just a very fine cut. Whoop, that's okay. When you're doing a final cut, try to do it all in a oneer.
Wayne, Forking House was asking, what size gouge were you using?
I was using, hang on, wait till I get to this cut, the end of this cut. There we are. The gouge I was using is, we call that a 1/2 inch bull gouge because in the UK we measure across the flute. In America, this would be a 5/8 bull gouge because the thickness of the overall diameter of the bar is 5/8. There we go.
Dutch Turner says, Wayne, you've got 45 minutes. Slow down.
I know people aren't really here to watch me, so here comes Drilly.
Take my headphones off.
Right, guys, watch your ears. that was my 80 grit gouge. Now we'll move on to 120.
Or fall has just joined, right at the perfect time.
Right, that's just finished off on 240. And that's my paintbrush.
Can I put my headphones back on now?
Yeah. Give that a quick dust off. Some nice ripple in this as well, which I'm hoping will show up, because on the top I'm going to do some colouring if I've got time.
He's got time. You have time to paint it, let it dry, do another coat.
Right, that dries very quick, so all I'm going to do is wipe off the excess. There's no need to knock it back, or I've got no need to knock it back, because I am going to be using Yorkshire grit on this. There we are. Yorkshire grit I am going to be using on this. So you only need to sand to 240 when you're using Yorkshire grit. Apply it while the lathe is stationary. Make sure you put plenty on.
JPN company says he came in late. Is that curly spotted beech?
No, it is spalted sycamore with a bit of ripple in there.
BB Turning and Ghost Wolf are in.
Oh yeah. Right, I've turned the speed down to around about 250. I'm going to use the same piece of paper that I used to put the grit on, and I'm just going to start rubbing it in to get the abrasive within the grit working. Do this for a couple of minutes. Since how it's the demo, I might cut that bit short. And then what you can do is start speeding up, carry on rubbing it in, and then I'll change onto a clean piece of paper. As long as you can still feel the abrasive and see slurry on the wood, the abrasive is doing its job.
Leaping Lemmer Craftworks asks, where do you get Yorkshire grit products here in the States?
Walnut Log, that's Jeff Hornung's place. And also, I can't remember, it's called the Wood Shop in Texas. It might be called something different. I may well be wrong on that one. But certainly the Walnut Log, if you just type in Walnut Log into whatever search engine you use, that should take you to Jeff Hornung's place. He supplies Yorkshire grit in the States. But there is a place in Texas that supplies us as well. And I just can't remember the name at the moment. And that's done its job. And to finish off, I'm going to be using, let's see, I've got some of this close to hand. going to be using some Hampshire Sheen high gloss wax. This is not. This is go on.
Falls asked, so possibly a daft question. What happens to the abraded material, i.e. the dust? Does it get integrated into the finish?
Right. What happens is that the abrasive within the paste actually breaks down, which is why you only need to sand to 240. So as you're working it in, it breaks down and breaks down and breaks down, becomes finer and finer and finer until eventually it becomes very fine and it gets left on the cloth or the piece of paper that you're using. So yeah, when you're using Yorkshire grit, the original, which I used there, that will take, like I said, I sanded to 240. Once you've used Yorkshire grit, that has taken it to an equivalent of a 1,000 grit, or around about 1,000 grit, if you were using normal abrasive paper. The microfine, go on.
Woodworld of Texas.
Woodworld of Texas, thank you on that one. That's the other place in the States where you can get Yorkshire grit. The microfine, which is even finer, you use after the original Yorkshire grit. You don't really need to use it on wood, although some people do, but that'll actually take it from the 1,000 of the original Yorkshire grit up to over 2,000. So it's very good for using on the likes of resins and things like this. And it actually cuts out, a lot of the time, and cut out the use of doing wet sanding with the very fine abrasive papers. So there's the bottom done. That's it done.
Falls, sort of a follow-up question. He says, what happens to the wood dust? It gets trapped in the cloth.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. It's basically wet sanding, okay? So all the dust is taken off. The Yorkshire grit is made up of beeswax, mineral oil, and the abrasive, which is called rotten stone. So the rotten stone breaks down. All the dust comes out. Can't find the piece of paper I was using now. Yeah, it's gone. But all the dust gets stuck to the paper, which is why when you use Yorkshire grit, you don't need to have your dust extractor on. You're not producing any of the very, very fine dust particles, which are the real dangerous ones. So it's actually better for your health. Right, turn our speed up a wee bit more.
Di Proud's just joined. Hello, Di.
Evening, Di. Afternoon, Di, I should say.
Where's Dale
Right,
gone?
oh, I'm not sure. He's gone, though.
Oh, okay.
Right, so I'll just get the top straightened off.
Catley's asking the same question. Where can he buy Yorkshire grit in the US? Woodworld of Texas and Walnut Log. Good turn, Daily Blair's just joined. Hello, Blair.
Hi, Blair. Right, now whenever you're doing something like this edge here, turn the lid off so I don't cut my finger. This edge here is very, very sharp. So you've got to be very careful of that. And one of the best things to do is to just knock that edge off like that. Right, let's have a look at this, see if I've got any tear out. I haven't really. That's looking not too bad. I'm just wanting a fairly straight top on this because it is going to get painted. So I'm going to go back to drilling. And this time what we're going to do, we're going to drill up to 400. Whenever you're colouring something, you need to have a very fine finish on there. It's no good sanding to 100 or 180 or even 240 because it'll still show the sanding marks. So I do sand up to 400 on this. Now you can use Yorkshire grit to get it sanded finer. You can put colour over the top of Yorkshire grit, but what you've got to do, if you are going to use Yorkshire grit, once you've used it and you've got it all nice and smooth and everything, give it a good wipe off with either methylated spirits, as we use in the UK, or denatured alcohol like you use in the States. And that'll actually wipe off any residue. Seeing as how you use sanded sealer, that stops a lot of the oils and the wax actually penetrating into the wood. And if you use the methylated spirits or denatured alcohol, that'll wipe off any residue of Yorkshire grit on there so you can actually colour over the top of it. That was 80. $120. $240. And 400. Paintbrush. What was that? Any comments on Hampshire Sheen products? Yeah, they're great. Yeah, a lot of people do use Hampshire Sheen products after Yorkshire grit, me included. I'm going to be using a couple of Hampshire Sheen products now. What I'm going to do, I've got some black. I use the, a lot of the time, especially when I'm using water stains, I use Hampshire Sheen intrinsic colours. Martin does a whole range of these. They can be wiped on with a paper towel. I've got to say I prefer using an airbrush. So what? And you might think, oh, sorry, Mark, go on.
Somebody, Crackerjacks asked, can you use tongue oil after Yorkshire grit?
Yes, you can. After Yorkshire grit, you can, as long as you get it wiped down fully, you can use just about any colour, any sort of finish over the top of Yorkshire grit. Now, you might think, why is he going to colour this when he's got all this lovely grain pattern in? Well, what I'm going to try and do, we've got this ripple area down here, which I'm hoping is going to stand out. We've got all this spalting area here. I'm going to give this a good coating of black. And again, you might think that's very strange, but then I'm going to knock the black back with 400 grit sandpaper. And then I'm going to put a different colour on and see what sort of effect we come away with. I'll stick my board down.
John Hayes has just joined
Hi, John.
from Ontario in Canada. And he's actually asking, when turning wet wood with wormholes, is it more likely there still is worms in the wood compared to dry wood?
I'm not actually sure on that one, tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Somebody said to me last week, because we've had a problem with worms in some of our curtain rails, that if you can actually see the holes, the worms aren't there anymore.
Die Proud says, yes, John, the beetle likes damp wood. The larvae are left behind. The Dutch Turner says, wait for it.
Yeah.
Oh, that ringing in my ears, it seems so silly. Haven't been to a concert, so it must have been drilly.
Oh, God. And for those of you who are new to this channel, please subscribe to start off with and hit the notification button. But you can probably tell by the people who come in here regularly that they don't come to watch me, they come to listen to Drilly. Right, you need to have the stain dry. This is a water-based stain I'm using. You need to have the stain dry, so I'm just going to use my hot air gun to dry it off. And whenever you use no hot air gun, always point it away from the piece before you switch it on, just to get rid of any dust that's in there, especially if you're using paints. When you've got time, you're better off leaving this to dry naturally, but I am doing an hour-long demo here, so I want to get this dried off as quick as I can. I can already see some of the ripple coming through on the black. Now, some people, when they're airbrushing, they will airbrush with the lathe on. I prefer not to, because I tend to find it starts putting circles on the wood, circles of stain on the wood. Get rid of that board for a minute. I've still got the 400 grit left in, so I'm just going to give this a sand. I'll heavily sand in some places and I'll lightly sand on others, just to leave sort of black highlights. It doesn't really matter about the middle, because that's going to get turned out anyway. I'll do a little bit more sanding on this sort of inner part here, and I'll try and leave a bit more black around the edge. But you can actually see where some of the black has actually stayed in the grain, even though I've sanded it out. Right, so the colours I'm going to be using.
John Hayes has asked, would it be different using dry sanding compared to wet sanding with your technique?
Oh, totally different. You'd probably spoil the effect totally using wet sanding. I'm going to use, the colour is called Honey. It does come out more yellow, and I'm going to use it, and I'll probably put a fairly heavy coat towards the middle. Like I say, this black area here is going to get turned out anyway, but I'll put a fairly light coat, a heavy coat towards the middle, and just sort of fan it out towards the end. And I will have the lathe switched on for this, but I'll turn the speed down.
Guy Proud says, dare we name the air gun Blowy? So we got Drilly and Blowy.
I don't know if you can see that, but the colour is heavier towards the inside and it does go lighter towards the outside. I'll just put a bit more on. And all I'm doing to get it lighter is I'm just pulling back with the air gun. And I'll put a different colour in now. What colour am I going to use? Ruby. This is quite a dark red, the ruby is. Just give it a test. And this is going to be more towards the outside. So switch it on again. And as you can see, I'm pointing the gun towards this side of the bowl. That's because the stain is going straight off the side, so I'm not getting any overspray on the bottom.
SK Crafty is suggesting we name the airbrush Splat, the air gun. And the shop vac is Sucky. It's getting silly now.
I'll just turn that down again. Stick the air gun on. Sorry, the hot air gun, I should say. Just to get that all dried off. Now, as you notice, seeing as how I'm using a water-based stain, and this would be the same with the spirit stain, what you do is you apply that straight to the wood. So it actually, yeah, that's nice and dry. You apply it straight to the wood so it actually soaks into the wood. You don't put a sand and sealer on first before you use stains. So now I'm using a cellulose sand and sealer. I always find it better to use a cellulose sand and sealer when I'm using water-based stains. It tends not to make the colours run.
JPN Company is asking, he's looking to buy a quality airbrush. Do you have any recommendations?
Right, airbrushes tend to be very expensive, going for quality. I tend to buy fairly cheap. I got the ones I'm using now were a set of 6 from Wish. And I think they work very, very well. They cost, I think the last lot I paid for cost, how much did they cost? Around about £85. How are we doing on time, Mark?
38 minutes. So you got 22 minutes left.
Grand. Have you got the link for the running order?
I've only got the website link.
Right, okay, that'll do. If you could stick that in.
Yep.
So people can see what it's about if you don't actually know, and see where to go next and what to do.
I'll ask a question first from Dennis Beamish.
Yeah.
What air pressure do you use with the airbrush?
Oh God, it's actually set on here. What have I got it at? Hang on a sec, I'll just bring the compressor out and have a look. It's around about, I'm using around about 50 at the moment, which is probably fairly high. You can go from anything between 20 and 50, I think. Right, I'm using a orange Scotch-Brite pad. This has got the equivalent grit of around about 1200, and this is just to knock the sand and sealer back. And that speed turned up a bit. And then I'm going to apply the Hampshire Sheen High Gloss Wax again.
And the next link I'll put in is for Steve at SK Crafts, who is the maker that's following you.
Yeah, that's grand. And I will see everybody else in there because I think I'm earworming along with Mark. Give this a very light buff. Whenever you're using finishing waxes, don't press on too hard. Because all you're doing is pressing through the wax and actually taking the wax off. So don't press on too hard. A very light wax. And with any sort of finished product, especially waxes I'm talking about here, if you leave them for 10 to 15 minutes for the solvents to evaporate off, then you can use a buffing brush to get a really high sheen. So what I'm going to do now is just get the bowl finished off. I might put a little bit of decoration in there. Where's my... Just in here. And let's see, just in there. I'll keep a bit of that black there. So I'll put that there. And I'll just mark where the bowl is going to go. So again, this is going to be a decorative bowl.
Got a question from Guy.
Yeah.
What's your routine for hard wax oil finishes?
Hard wax. I've never used hard wax oil.
Wayne, are you going to be all right to do the last 10 minutes without me?
Of course.
Okay.
I'll catch you in Steve's.
Yeah. Still 6 minutes yet before I go.
Right. Who was asking that? Dutch, I think it was. What was it called?
Die proud.
No, Dutch has asked something.
No, it's what is it called? Is it more of a platter than a bowl?
Well, it's a wide rim dish, really.
I'd imagine this would be a large centerpiece for a big table, wouldn't it?
Right, I'm going to move on to my
I ain't gone yet, Pete.
3/8
5 minutes before I go.
Right, I'm just changing gouges because the one I'm using is starting to feel a little bit on the blunt side. Well, that's better.
Dale had an emergency at work. So he had to drop out.
Sorry?
Dale had an emergency at work, so he had to drop out.
All right, okay.
So if anybody's got any more questions, if you could bang them in now before I have to pop off.
We've just got this little nub in the middle to get cut out, and then a bit of sanding and finishing, and then that'll be me.
Mike Villafuerte has just joined. Hi guys, just logged on and noticed Wayne was live but didn't see him scheduled. Wayne stepped in at the last minute because Costas Anakas had to drop out because of the storms and he's got no power at the moment. So this is a last minute addition to the virtual craft fair.
Right, quick bit of sanding. I'm only going to go to 240.
Zombie Woodturner's just joined. Hi Zed.
Hey, Zed.
Pete from Twisted Tree says, seriously, that would be a day's work for me. Okay, so I may give it drying time. That has been skipped, but Wayne must be the fastest turner in the north.
Here's Pete. Paint brush. Get rid of some of the dust off the outside. Get rid of some of the dust in the middle. Give that a quick spray with sanding sealer. Just going to wipe off the excess. I want to get this finished. Put some grit on. I've still got this on a fairly high speed, but just so I can get the bowl finished. Seeing as how I've left the mortise in the bottom, I can always come back and redo the finish on this if I'm not happy with it.
Right, Wayne, I've got to pop off. I've just put the link
No
in
problem, Mark.
for Steve's live.
I'll
Don't
see you in
forget
about 10
everybody.
minutes.
Don't forget, everybody, pop over to Steve when Wayne's finished. Thanks, everyone.
Right, I am keeping an eye on the chat while I'm standing here. I've still got my sound on the flaming YouTube channel. I didn't notice that before. Let me switch that off. Right, guys, I will grab my stool. I will pop this off the lathe. I'll change camera. Oh, we've still got a few minutes left, which is not too bad. Right, have a sit down. Have a sit down. Change camera, Wayne, so people can see your ugly mug. So, there we go. Spalted sycamore. You can see down at the bottom, just there's a wee bit of ripple. just around about here. Got a wee bit of ripple, which is nice, so that's included in that. So that's the intrinsic colours: black, honey, and ruby. So something, well, not different for me, but something a wee bit different. A last minute thing. It was about the only bowl blank that I really had ready, because I only got told about this. Although I knew I was on standby, I did only get told about it just before, well, at 1 o'clock I got told, but I didn't get a chance to come out in the workshop until 2 o'clock. So, all done, all finished. What do you think, guys? Thank you very much, Tommy, for your very kind donation. We are sitting at, 8 minutes to 4 o'clock. So that's when Steve's going to be coming in. I will be in his chat. Has anybody any questions before we go? We've got a few minutes. I'll pack in about 5 so people can want to get the kettle on, or if they want to use the facilities or whatever before Steve comes on next. Any questions, pop them in. Oh, you like the t-shirt, Zed? I think you can buy them through Teespring. Thanks, Dutch. Thanks, Karen. Thanks, IDR. Robert. Rubadub. Where did I get my bowl blank? I actually got these blanks last year. I got them fairly local to where I live. A guy was selling some sycamore in plank form. I tend to buy all my wood in plank form and process it down to bowl blanks first. He had some sycamore for sale at, I think it was around about £35 a cubic foot. So I bought 4 cubic foot of sycamore. He had some silver birch. It's about £30 a cubic foot, so I bought a cubic foot of that. And out of the 4 cubic foot of sycamore, I got 27 bowl blanks, ranging from around about 9-inch through to 17-inch. Thickness 2-inch, 3-inch. Thanks, Lee. Thanks, Mick. Right, we're coming up 5-2. I'll leave it there, guys. Thanks a lot for coming along. I don't know how many were. Let's see. I'll have a quick check on my thing. 84. There was probably a few more than that in, but oh, thanks, Matt. Much appreciated for the super chat. All donations kindly taken. It all goes towards keeping the channel going, buying new equipment for the channel and everything. So it doesn't get wasted on wine. Honest, it doesn't. It doesn't. I spend my own money on that. Right. I will press the button. I'll leave it there. Carry on following the rest of the day. There's some very, very good people coming on after me. All right, Pete's in. Just did a super chat, but didn't turn up. He'll do it next week. Right, sorted next week. Cheers, Pete. Thanks for that. Oh, 94 online now. Thanks, James. I'm going to be in a couple of more chats, I think. I'll be in Steve's. I'll probably be in Andy's as well, unless he's full. But enjoy the rest of the day, evening, morning, whatever. There's some very good people coming on. The links are all around and about somewhere. I don't have them to hand on my computer in the workshop, I'm afraid. So I'm going to press the button now. Enjoy it. I'll see you all very soon. Bye for now.